Farmal F20, 1932 to 1939. One day, in the middle of that summer, I heard a Farmal tractor roaring in the distant fields, and I have never forgotten that distinctive sound. The Farmal F20, manufactured from 1932 to 1939, is an iconic symbol in the memories of many American farmers. Manufactured by International Harvester in Chicago, Illinois, the F20 was a familiar sight on farms across the Midwest, from Iowa to Kansas. When it was first released, it cost about $1,000. International Harvester sold more than 148,000 F20s. Today, a well-maintained one can fetch $3,000 to $5,000, or even more with a thorough restoration. The Farmal F20 became an icon for its simplicity, durability, and distinctive tall, lean shape. It was born to plow, to sow, to grow with the soil. It was often seen running between long rows of corn, especially in the states of Illinois, Nebraska, Indiana. The advantage? A machine that was easy to repair, easy to drive, and especially suitable for farmers who did not need anything complicated. Someone recounted that every summer morning, his father would take the F20 out of the barn, crank the engine with a firm turn of the handle, and drive it out into the field. The children would sit and swing on the fenders, listening to the engine running like clockwork. The Farmal F20 used a 4-cylinder engine, producing about 29 horsepower at the PTO shaft. That is not an impressive number today, but at the time, it was a revolution. It was easy to start, originally by hand. Later versions with a starter were added. The 4-speed transmission was simple, not too heavy to drive, easy for beginners to get used to. It had a PTO shaft and a 3-point drawbar, suitable for many agricultural implements of the time. The F20 weighed about 4,200 pounds, with large rear wheels and narrow front wheels, helping it grip the ground and maneuver easily between rows of plants. Today, spare parts are still available, thanks to the enthusiastic restoration community and many antique shops that still have some original parts. You can use the F20 to pull harrows, plant corn, weed, or simply keep it as a beautiful memory. If you buy it back, check the starter, PTO shaft, clutch, and especially the rear wheel, because that is where it is most likely to wear or crack. Today, there are still people who bring their F20s to farmers' fairs, vintage tractor pulls, or just to crank them up every Sunday morning as a way to say hello. The Farmal F20 is more than just a machine. It has been with our fathers through 5 harvests, with our children playing in the summer, and with our families growing up with its rumbling sound every morning. Tell the story, so that future generations will know that old tractors never truly lie forgotten. John Deere Model A, 1934 to 1952. On some autumn mornings, when dew still lingers on the grass, all you need to hear is the familiar thump-thump of the John Deere Model A. The John Deere Model A, introduced in 1934 and serving farmers until 1952, is one of the most iconic symbols of the golden age of rural America. Manufactured in Waterloo, Iowa, the Model A was a dream come true for many small farming families. Its initial retail price was around $900, more affordable than many other models. More than 300,000 were sold, a number that speaks to the faith farmers had in the John Deere brand. Today, a Model A in good working order can fetch anywhere from $2,500 to more than $7,000, especially if it has all the original parts. The Model A was popular for its powerful yet simple design, sturdy construction, and especially its distinctive 2-cylinder sound and unmistakable sound. It was once the right-hand man of many farmers in Ohio, Missouri, Oklahoma, where the soil was soft and the corn growing season was long. Outstanding advantages? Easy to start, durable, and not too complicated to repair. A skilled farmer could do most of it himself. It is said that, on a small farm in Indiana, every morning, my grandfather would take the Model A out to the yard, turn the flywheel to start it. The sound of the engine echoed throughout the valley, so much so that the chickens in the coop fell silent to listen. The children ran after the car, jumping up and clinging to the fenders, cheering like they were going to a festival. The John Deere Model A used a two-cylinder engine horizontally opposed, about 25 to 30 horsepower at the PTO shaft. The machine was hand-started, but easy to start, thanks to its simple design, with few breakdowns. For speed transmission, smooth shifting if the driver is familiar with it. PTO shaft and drawbar allow for many tools: lawn mower, harrow, manure spreader. The vehicle weighs about 4,800 pounds. The rear wheels are wide, the front wheels are V-shaped, helping to grip the ground well even in the rainy season. Spare parts are still available thanks to the vintage tractor community and shops specializing in second-hand goods. In particular, John Deere parts are easier to find than many other models of the same period. The Model A is suitable for small farms, pulling harrows, planting corn, weeding, even carrying light loads around the yard. If you want to buy it back, you should check the starter shaft, clutch system, transmission gears, and especially the PTO part, often rusted if left unused for a long time. Today, many people still take the Model A to fairs, exhibitions, or start the engine every morning as a greeting to the past. The John Deere Model A is more than just a tractor. It is a part of our memories, a friend who has accompanied our fathers through many harvests. It stands there, silent in the corner of the warehouse, but every time it starts, a whole childhood comes flooding back. What was the first tractor you loved the most? Tell us about it, so that the old sounds will forever resonate in the hearts of Americans. Alice Chelmer's WC, 1933. Remember the first time you saw that bright orange in a field of wheat? Not the color of the afternoon sky, but the Alice Chelmer's WC plowing straight lines. Introduced in 1933, the Alice Chelmer's WC was one of the first tractors designed specifically for row cropping, and the first to use a welded frame rather than a cast one. Based in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Alice Chelmer's sold more than 170,000 WCs during the 1930s and 40s, mostly to small farmers in the Midwest. The original price was around $900. Today, a WC in good condition and running condition can fetch between $2,000 and $4,500, depending on how well it is maintained. Why is it so iconic? Not only because of its striking orange paint, but because it was the first tractor that was truly suitable for the average farmer. Light, agile, fuel-efficient and easy to drive. It was often seen in Iowa, Ohio, Minnesota, where the soil was soft and needed a machine that was easy to control for daily work. It is said that there was an old man who lived on the edge of a forest in northern Illinois, who had only driven one WC his whole life. Every time he finished harvesting, he washed the machine, covered it carefully with a blanket, then sat in the yard drinking tea and watching it in the afternoon sun. "It's my friend," he said, "not a machine." The Alice Chelmer's WC had a four-cylinder engine, producing about 22 to 24 horsepower at the PTO shaft. It was hand-started, but easy to start if well maintained. The transmission was 3-speed, simple. It took a beginner just a few sessions to get used to it. It had a PTO shaft, a drawbar, and a 3-point clutch, allowing for attachments like a harrow, a seed drill, or a tooth plow. It weighed about 3,500 pounds, lighter than many of its contemporaries. The rear wheels were large, the front narrow, which made it good for handling narrow fields or wet soil. Parts are still available thanks to the enthusiastic restoration community and Midwestern garage sales. The WC is good for someone who wants to do large yard work, pull a light trailer, or just keep it as a souvenir. If you're buying it secondhand, check the engine, especially the cylinders and valves, clutch system, PTO shaft, and welded frame, because this is the part that takes the most stress. Today, people still use the WC for light work, or take it to antique tractor shows, where it always attracts attention because of its bright orange color and the steady sound of the engine like the heartbeat of the countryside. The Alice Chelmer's WC was not only the first tractor with a welded frame, but also the first machine that made many poor farmers believe that they could own their own fields. It lived with its owner through many seasons, witnessing both sowing and harvesting. Some say that every scratch on the body of the machine tells a story, a dry season, or a late plowing when it was about to rain. What was your favorite first tractor? Share it, so that the deep sound of old machines will forever be in the memory of Americans. Minneapolis Moline Model U, 1938. Not everyone remembers that distinctive yellow color, but once you see a Minneapolis Moline Model U running across a field, you will never forget it. In 1938, amid the lingering winds of the Great Depression, Minneapolis Moline introduced the Model U, a tractor that was different in both power and appearance. Manufactured in Hopkins, Minnesota, the Model U had a bright coppery yellow color that stood out against the Midwestern afternoon sky. When it was first released, it cost about $1,100, not cheap, but worth it for the pulling power and durability. In total, more than 33,000 were produced in the early stages, and many were still running well into the 1960s. Today, if you can keep a good running machine, it will cost anywhere from $3,500 to more than $6,000, depending on the level of restoration. Why did it become an icon? Because it represented a different philosophy: strong, big, not for small fields, but for the vast fields of Kansas, Dakota, or Texas. Outstanding advantages? Strong engine, good grip on the ground, working continuously all day without overheating. Someone told me that, on the outskirts of Oklahoma, an old man drove a Model U for 30 years. When it came time to pass it on to his son, he said only one thing: if you take care of it like the earth, it will never abandon you in the middle of the season. The Model U was powered by a heavy-duty 4-cylinder gasoline or diesel engine, producing about 35 to 40 horsepower at the PTO shaft. This was a respectable number for the time. The machine was started by hand or battery, depending on the model. Later versions were easier to start thanks to the electric starter. The 5-speed transmission shifted smoothly, but required a little experience from the driver. It had a PTO, drawbar, and 3-point clutch, suitable for large-scale harrows, mowers, and seeders. Weight was about 5,400 pounds. The rear wheels were large and deeply grooved, providing good traction even on wet clay. Some models even had a double axle. Spare parts are not as easy to find today as they are at John Deere or Farmal, but can still be found through antique machine groups or tractor fairs in the Midwest. The Model U is suitable for those with large tracts of land, need a powerful machine to pull large implements or carry heavy loads. If you are thinking of buying a used one, check the engine, especially the cooling system and the clutch system. The PTO shaft and transmission should also be tested, as these are the parts that will be under constant stress for decades. Today, people still use the Model U to haul logs, pull hay carts, or compete in tractor pulls at the local farmers' fair. The Minneapolis Moline Model U is not a tractor for the impatient. It requires patience, care, and then it will be loyal to the end. It has lived with its owner through droughts and floods, standing still in the yard when it snows, and ready to roar loudly when spring returns. What was the first tractor you loved the most? Tell us about it, so that the deep rumble of the old machines continues to resonate far and wide, like memories that never fade in the red soil of your homeland. Oliver 70, 1935 to 1948. There was a time when tractors were the pride of the yard. People would stop and stare when they saw an Oliver 70 rolling by. The Oliver 70, introduced in 1935 and still being improved in 1948, was the futuristic tractor of its day. Oliver, based in Charles City, Iowa, built the 70 with a streamlined body and aerodynamically shaped hood, looking more like a car than a tractor. With that look, it stood out in the fields of Kansas, Indiana, or Ohio. Prices started at around $1,200, well above the average for the time. Still, more than 60,000 were sold, proving that farmers were willing to pay more for a modern, powerful tractor. Today, if in good working order, a restored model can fetch $6,000 or more, especially an original with a shiny chrome Oliver logo. The Oliver 70 became an icon thanks to its combination of power and aesthetics, strong engine, beautiful appearance, and smooth operation. It is said that in a small town in eastern Nebraska, a farmer would wash his Oliver 70 every Sunday afternoon, then take it for a ride around the village like a procession. The children would sit on the bed, waving to their acquaintances. Everyone knew the smooth sound of the engine and the long, slender shape, like a Cadillac running through the fields. The Oliver 70 used a 6-cylinder engine, with a capacity of about 30 to 35 horsepower at the PTO shaft. One of the smoothest and most powerful engines of its time, round sound, low vibration, and very durable. Easy to start, there were versions with electric starters earlier than many other brands. 6-speed transmission, smooth, jerk-free driving, suitable for beginners. Has a PTO shaft, a drawbar, and can mount a variety of tools, from a long-distance harrow to a manure spreader. Weighs about 4,800 pounds. Large rear wheels, deep tires, good grip, suitable for both dry and wet fields. Regarding maintenance, spare parts are still available today, although not as abundant as John Deere or Farmal, but many groups still keep a very careful inventory of old Oliver parts. The Oliver 70 is suitable for medium and large farms. Weeding, planting, pulling auxiliary machines are all fine. If buying a second-hand, check the cooling system, PTO shaft, and clutch. Pay special attention to the electrical system if it is a model with a starter. Today, many people still display Oliver 70s at fairs, or keep them as family heirlooms, both to remember and to tell their grandchildren about a beautiful time in the American countryside. The Oliver 70 is more than a tractor, it is a symbol of a generation of American farmers who believed that technology could change their lives, but not their love for the land. It accompanied its owner through the years, through droughts, rainy seasons, through wars, and simple days. It did more than plow the land, it cultivated memories. What was your favorite first tractor? Please share, so that those old sounds, the sound of the machine, the sound of people calling each other in the fields, will forever resonate in the souls of those who lived through that period.